I've never actually done a detailed walkthrough of my room, partially because it's usually kind of a mess. Like, it's not the most cleanly place. I just kind of string things around, such as these lights, but also these cords, and also that corner, whatever the fuck is going on over there. So that kind of kept me from doing an extensive lookover of the room and giving you a tour of the room. This is a kind of video I've never actually made before. In all the years that I've been doing YouTube, I've literally never sat down and said, I'm going to do a room tour. I'm going to show you everything in my room. I'm going to do the whole walkthrough, layout, whatever. I've never actually done that. And the reason I've never done that before is because I never really felt proud of my room before. The closest I ever got to that was at my dad's place when I had of hello there, different posters up and like books all over the place. Like I had all my equipment. I had literally fucking everything the way that I wanted it to be. But it was too cramped. It was too small to do a room tour. And so I ended up never doing one. Now, I don't have as many posters as I would like to have in this room. In fact, I only have one that I'm going to show you. But I've been able to kind of craft it in a way that I think is really keynote, that I think is really special. So, we have the computer area. This is what I like to call it. I've got my computer set up and the various trappings that come with that. I got Counter-Strike 2 here. You guys know it. You guys know that I love Counter-Strike 2. You know that it's one of my favorite games. I've got the keyboard here, pretty standard stuff, pretty easy to understand. The PSPs, this one does not work. That is not my passport. And then we got the chair, the comfy chair. This is a really nice chair to have because even though like you get this like lazy type of slouch, right? It's comfortable. It's comfortable. And so yeah, you're not going to be able to roll away on it the way that you would at most desk chairs, but it works. It's functional for what it does. Here I just have a random assortment of nonsense, mostly trash and cords, but then I have another PSP and also my books, and just ignore that. Also my books. We got some classics here. The truth of the matter is most of my books literally aren't with me. I've been missing my books for 2 fucking years. I used to have like hundreds of books. They were all at Karesu's house. I haven't gotten them back yet. I guess he's just holding them for me. But I have a couple books here. Classics, Uncle Tom's Cabin, The Future's History, good retrospective on Russian sociology and so on. Random old phone, satanic ritual abuse. I was trying to learn about that for a little bit. It's not real. Caffeine. I love the caffeine. I got my Philip K. Dick books. That's my favorite author. Let me tell you though, this thing has gotten major play for me. It has an IPS screen. It was modded to have an IPS screen, so this is by far the best looking PSP you could ever get. And then this is the bed. Hello.
Hello.
And I do things with her on there that you're not supposed to know about. And then there's this corner. This is a corner where he stares at us. That character is worth like over $300. I'm not even kidding. And then there's the Super Nintendo. Now, the reason I have the Super Nintendo like this, instead of on that TV, which we've yet to talk about, is because while I can get component cables for the Super Nintendo, and I can plug it into a device that'll upscale it and make it look really nice with minimal or no lag. For me, the best Super Nintendo experience, and this is the best experience for pretty much all of the like really retro consoles, the ones that you put the cartridges in, with the exception of the N64, I guess. Uh, it's got to be on a good quality bubble CRT that's like 13 inches, like a small one. A bigger one is fine too, but a small one's ideal for these kinds of games. It's got to be on that TV. And I don't know what it is about it. Something with the colors, it just makes it pop. On this kind of TV, it just feels right. And I know there's minimal to no lag, which is perfect for my needs. I know that there are technically better options for making the Super Nintendo and other retro consoles look good. This is by far the best option for me, even though technically speaking it's not the best. Personally speaking, it is. So that's why I have this little corner set up. Also because I got the closets there, but then I have this shelving here. And there's just this little corner here because you can't really reach the wall due to this shelf being here. That wall is off limits because the mattress goes up to here, and so there's just this little like slot of space here that I thought would perfectly fit this little guy. And then I thought, well, I need it to be held up somehow. I wanted a wooden table of some kind, like a stool to put it on. I didn't fucking have that. So I took two, like, basically junk ThinkPads, like ThinkPads that don't really work, and that thing full of, like, a bunch of official documents and shit, and two hardback books that I have sort of perused but not extensively read, don't really have the interest in fully reading, I came to find. I stacked it all together, and I put it all like that so it wouldn't fall. And then we got my special wooden box that I've had for fucking, like, I want to say over 10 years. My grandfather gave me this, and it's been with me ever since. And now it's housing the Super Nintendo. Thanks, Granddad. And then over here, to my other TV, the really Kino TV. This is like my prized possession, or at least one of them. We have the Sony Trinitron, the Wega HD CRT. This doesn't just take component inputs, it also has an HDMI port. And so because of that, I have the RetroTink. It's a little dusty. I have the RetroTink 5X Pro. Now what this does is upscale your component inputs, S-card, AV, whatever you plug into it. It upscales it to up to 4K, but you can pick your resolution with literally zero lag. Like, this is a $500 piece of equipment. It takes it and it upscales it with no lag. So you may be thinking, well, okay, OsakaSyndrome, if you can have all your retro consoles upscaled to such a degree with no lag, why the fuck do you have a CRT then? Well, the reason I have this HD CRT is those games were still made to be viewed on a CRT. And CRTs still have better depth. The true blacks that they have is still there. Older stuff, especially if it's 2D, pixelated, it's gonna look better on the CRT. So, for the ultimate retro setup, I've got the RetroTink 5X Pro, and then I've got the Trinitron right there. Perfect. It's beautiful. Over here, there's like her clothes. There's more of them in the closet. Then there's like the ukulele and more books, because even though all my books ended up being at Karesu's place, I didn't stop reading. I still was an avid reader. I don't read anywhere near as much these days, but I'd like to fix that. And so I kept buying books. And then over here, we've got a Sega Saturn that doesn't work, the power strip for all this shit. You sort of get the idea there. and my holy grail collection. The game collection that I have that's the most extensive, the most expensive as well. Like some of these games are worth wild money. I can't believe I paid over $100 for this game. It's a little embarrassing to say. It's my PS2 collection. I've gone over the greatest hits from here in a different video, so I'm not going to do that here. But underneath, you have like the Super Nintendo stuff, Yoshi's Island, Kirby's Dream Course, which is a fun golf game, Super Mario World, Super Star Wars, and I think there's, it's another Kirby game. It's Kirby's like puzzle something. You got the PS1 shit, my favorite console that isn't the PS2. This is kind of an interesting device. This is the pseudo Saturn Kai. What this is an action replay that was programmed to have a special piece of software that unlocks your console's, that region unlocks it. So someone basically took an action replay, did a swap trick on the console to boot up a burned CD with like an ISO that had the program on it, and they dumped the program onto an action replay. And when you plug this into the cartridge port of your Sega Saturn, it makes it to where you can play games from any region, which is handy for obvious reasons. Over here we have my only Sega Saturn game, which is this King of Fighters 95, with the, this isn't a RAM expansion, this has the sprites on it. So I have the disc and then the cartridge that has the sprites. And, that makes it to where you can actually play the game, because the sprites couldn't be loaded quickly enough off the disc, so they did this strange little arrangement. There's more stuff in here that I'm not really going to go through. There's also a shit ton of my stuff out in the living room because I just haven't found a place for it yet. The living room is like its own area. I have so much shit out there. I've got a giant like square CRT. I've got my NES. I've got my GameCube. I've got my PS3. I've got a bunch of shit of mine out there. And like in here, it's just clothes, and then there's some more books. And there's actually my Wii U is there, my cassette tapes. There's a piano, like an electronic keyboard in there. Nothing majorly exciting, but that is the room. There's also this Taxi Driver poster. This is the loneliest poster I've ever had. This is the one poster in this entire room. I still have my Ponyo Digi Chara poster at my dad's place and all that other stuff. Azumangadayo poster still on the wall. Lonely as hell in here. This Taxi Driver poster. But what can you do? I didn't want to buy a bunch of new ones and put them up, when I know I'm not going to be living in this apartment forever. Also, this is a no thank you cassette. I think there were only like 10 of these ever made. I'm one of the only people who owns one, which is kind of cool. Anyway, that's my room.